Before we begin our next lesson, you have to do first your learning task 1 in week 6 and 7. So you have to do the following. Letter A, determine if the given conditional statement is true. After that, switch the hypothesis and the conclusion and determine if the resulting statement is also true. And last, write the solution, the hypothesis and the conclusion in negative form. Number 1, if the triangle is equilateral, then it is equiangular. So that is an example. So this is true statement. Letter B, if the triangle is equiangular, then it is equilateral. So that is also true kapag pinagbaliktad natin, interchange natin ang hypothesis and the conclusion. Letter C, if the triangle is not equilateral, then it is not equiangular. Gagawin natin parehas negative form. So nag-include na tayo ng word na not, okay? So kung meron namang katumbas na other word para mag-negative yung word na equilateral tsaka yung equiangular, pwede naman natin palitan. Number 2, if a polygon has exactly 4 sides, then it is a quadrilateral. So that is true statement. Pagbaliktarin na natin ang conclusion tsaka ang hypothesis. If the polygon is quadrilateral, then it has exactly 4 sides. So that is also true. If the sides of the quadrilateral are not exactly 4, then it is not quadrilateral. Okay? Number 3, if a man is honest, he does not steal. So that's true. If he does not steal, then he is honest. That's also true. Oo, pag di ka naman nagnakaw, isa kang tapat na tao. Totoo yun. If the man is not honest, then he steals. Diba? Napansin nyo na wala na yung word na not steal. Naging, then he steals. Negative pa din yun, diba? Kasi ang pagnanakaw ay negative na bagay. Number 4, if two angles are supplementary, then the sum of the measure of the angles is 180 degrees. So this is true. If the sum of the measure of two angles is 180 degrees, sorry for the typographical error, then the angles are supplementary. So that is also true. If the sum of two angles is not 180 degrees, then the angles are not supplementary. Okay? And last, number 5. If a volcano is active, then it will erupt. So that's true. If the volcano erupts, then it is active. So that is also true. Letter C. If the volcano is not active, then it will not erupt. Okay? So ganun lang po kadali ang gagawin ninyo for the learning task 1 ng week 6 and 7. Let's now move to our next lesson, the biconditional, the inverse, converse, contrapositive statement. So kung kanina meron tayong conditional statements, meron naman tayo ngayon tinatawag na biconditional, the inverse, the converse, and the contrapositive. So medyo dumami na sila, pero madali lang ito, huwag kayong mag-alala. When you switch the hypothesis and conclusion of a conditional statement, you form a converse statement. So tawag na natin doon ay converse statement. So from the conditional statement, if the triangle is equilateral, then it is equiangular. The converse becomes, if the triangle is equiangular, then it is equilateral. Pinagbaliktad lang natin yung if and then statement ng conditional, magiging converse po ang tawag natin doon. Another example, conditional statement, if a man is honest, he does not steal. The converse statement will be, if a man does not steal, he is honest. The conditional statement is true. An equiangular triangle is always equilateral. The converse is also true. An equilateral triangle is always equiangular. Since both conditional and converse statements are true, you can connect the phrases by if and only if. Thus, it forms a conditional statement. So now, we're now in biconditional statement. So, ganito po yon. Nag-start tayo sa conditional statement, sa converse, kapag parehas true. Ulitin ko true yung conditional mo, true yung converse mo, pwede ka nang gumawa ng biconditional statement. Ang biconditional statement ay ginagawa lamang kapag parehas true ang conditional tsaka converse mo. Pero kung hindi parehas true yan, hindi ka pwedeng gumawa ng biconditional statement. So, this will be your biconditional statement. Ang biconditional statement, mapapansin ninyo, wala na siyang if sa unahan. Kasi yung if niya, matatransform na into if and only if. Ano po ibig sabihin ng if and only if? Kung ito lamang, parang sinasabi mo na tama na ito, kaya tama din ito. Parang ganun ang ibig sabihin niya, no? So, a triangle is equilateral if and only if. Mapapansin ninyo, magkakaroon lang ng phrase na if and only if sa gitna ng ating statement. It is equiangular. Again, a triangle is equilateral if and only if it is equiangular. Yung if and only if yung magko-connect dun sa dalawang sa hypothesis and conclusion natin. So, babalik tayo dun sa ating conditional statement, tatanggalin lang natin yung if tsaka yung then, tapos lalagyan natin ng if and only if sa gitna nila. The words if and only if implies that both conditional and inverse statements are true. Okay? Again, yung by conditional statement, babalik lang tayo dun sa conditional statement. Tatanggalin lang natin yung if, then lalagay lang natin if and only if sa gitna ng hypothesis and conclusion, yung original hypothesis and conclusion natin. The second example, both conditional and converse statements are true. Thus, the biconditional statement is, a man is honest if and only if he does not steal. So, pwede rin natin gawin dun sa pangalawang example. A man is honest if and only if he does not steal. Given a biconditional statement, you can split it into two conditional statements and its converse. So, examples. Biconditional statement, two angles are complementary if and only if the sum of their measure is 90 degrees. Pwede din natin i-chop-chop, kumbaga, yun si biconditional statement. Your conditional statement will be, if two angles are complementary, then the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. Ibabalik natin siya sa conditional statement, then yung converse, pagbabalik na rin lang natin yung hypothesis and conclusion, magiging converse statement na rin ito. If the sum of the measure of two angles is 90 degrees, then they are complementary. Kung medyo nalilito, balik-balikan lang po natin itong video na ito. Both the conditional and converse statements are true. Okay? Kailangan lamang yung conditional at converse natin laging true para makagawa tayo ng biconditional statement. Aside from forming a converse statement from conditional statement, you can also form the inverse statement. An inverse statement can be formed by negating or yung kumbaga negative the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. When you negate the converse statement, you form a contrapositive statement. Again, yung inverse, gagawin nating negate yung hypothesis at conclusion ng conditional statement. So, katumbas ng inverse ay yung conditional. Ang katumbas naman ng contrapositive ay yung converse na gagawin nating negative yung mga statement niya. So, here are the examples. A polygon with exactly 4 sides is a quadrilateral. The conditional statement here is if a polygon has exactly 4 sides, then it is a quadrilateral. So kung ine-negative daw natin yung mga statements sa conditional, ang tawag natin dito ay inverse. If a polygon does not have exactly 4 sides, then it is not a quadrilateral. Sa converse naman, if a polygon is a quadrilateral, then it has exactly 4 sides. Mula ito sa conditional, di ba? Pagbabalik rin lang natin si hypothesis tsaka si conclusion. Ngayon, sa contrapositive, ganun pa rin naman siya. Yung format ng contrapositive ay katulad nun sa converse, pero ine-negate lang natin siya. Lalagyan lang natin ng mga not. If a polygon is not a quadrilateral, then it does not have exactly 4 sides. Example number 2, two line segments of equal lengths are congruent. Conditional, if two line segments are equal in length, then they are congruent. Ang inverse natin dyan, lalagyan lang natin uli ng not. If two line segments are not equal in length, then they are not congruent. Naputol lang yung word. Okay, next. Converse, if two line segments are congruent, then they have equal lengths. Ito naman ay mula sa pag-i-interchange ng hypothesis at conclusion ng conditional. So, if two line segments are congruent, then they have equal lengths. Contrapositive natin for that, if two line segments are not congruent, then their lengths are not equal. Okay? Ganun lang po yun. Sorry, napuputol lang po ang ating mga sentence. Typographical error. So, thank you for listening. All you have to do is to finish all your learning tasks today. Then submit it on Google Classroom. Okay? Make sure to to capture your work correctly, then paste it correctly in order on the Google Classroom. Deadline for submission will be today. Thank you.